Once a woman only wanted a moment of pretend love to hide her pain. But what he gave her that night was something real, something that would change her life forever. Sometimes all a person wants is to escape their loneliness, even if just for a moment. She thought pretending would be enough, that a few borrowed hours of fake love could silence the ache in her heart. But what she never expected was that one man's answer would give her more than comfort. It would give her the truth she had stopped believing in. The night was quiet, the kind of stillness that feels heavy, almost as if the world itself was holding its breath. She sat at the edge of her bed, her fingers nervously twisting the hem of her dress. Her heart ached with a loneliness that had been growing for years, a hollow space carved deeper by broken promises and shattered illusions of love. She was tired of waiting for someone to stay, tired of believing in forever when forever had never believed in her. And so, when she whispered those words, "Will you pretend to love me tonight?" her voice carried more than desperation. It carried the story of a woman who had lost faith in love itself. He stood across the room, a man whose presence always seemed steady, unshaken, like a shelter in a storm. His dark eyes studied her, not with judgment, but with a quiet understanding. He knew pain when he saw it. He had lived through it himself. Life had not been gentle with him either, but it had taught him to value truth in a world filled with masks. And now, hearing her plea, he felt the weight of her loneliness pressing against him. She wanted a lie, a momentary escape, a fragile illusion to cover the wounds of her heart. But what she didn't know was that he had no intention of giving her lies. Slowly, he stepped closer, his voice deep yet soft, carrying the strength of someone who had nothing to prove. "I won't pretend," he said. "I'll love you for real." For a moment, silence stretched between them. Her breath caught, her chest tightening as tears formed in her eyes. She hadn't expected that answer. No one had ever chosen her with such certainty, without hesitation, without conditions. To her, love had always come with demands, with limits, with expiration dates. And here he was, offering her something she had stopped believing existed, something genuine. She tried to laugh it off, tried to hide behind sarcasm, but her voice broke. "You don't understand. I'm broken. People don't stay with someone like me." His reply was immediate, firm, yet filled with tenderness. "Then let me stay and prove you wrong." Her hands trembled as she looked at him, searching for cracks in his words, expecting him to falter or retreat. But his gaze never wavered. There was no game, no performance, only truth. And in that truth, she began to feel the walls around her heart weaken, piece by piece. The night that she thought would be filled with pretend affection became something else entirely. He didn't hold her like someone playing a part. He held her like someone who meant it, someone who saw her scars and still found beauty in them. His love was not grand gestures or empty promises. It was the kind of love that whispered strength into her brokenness, the kind that replaced silence with safety. For the first time in years, she let herself rest in someone's arms without fear of being abandoned. She realized that love wasn't about pretending or escaping pain. It was about finding someone who chose to stay when the world had walked away. And as the hours passed, she no longer wished for pretend love. She no longer begged for illusions. Because what she found that night was more powerful than anything she had imagined. She found a man who gave her real love, the kind that doesn't fade when the morning comes. In the end, her question had been simple, born from loneliness. "Will you pretend to love me tonight?" But his answer carried the weight of truth that would forever change her life. "I'll love you for real." In the end, her question was simple. "Will you pretend to love me tonight?" But his reply changed everything. I'll love you for real." And in those words, she learned that love doesn't always arrive in grand gestures. It arrives in honesty, in patience, and in the courage to stay. Sometimes the love we ask for isn't the love we need, and sometimes the love we never expected becomes the love that saves us.